Time for me to bring in Dhirendra Kumar, the CEO of Value Research and our mutual fund expert who answers our questions every week. Dhirendra, as always, it's lovely to have you on the show to answer our questions. Let's start with our portfolio question for this week. Well, 33-year-old Bharat has written in, Dhirendra. He has a very interesting question. Now, he's designed 3 different mutual fund portfolios for each of his long-term goals. Now, he wants help with his selection. Bharat, before I get into your investments, I must let you know that if you live in a big city, your 3 lakh health insurance policy is not enough. First things first, you need to buy an additional cover of about 2 or 3 lakh rupees. Secondly, going by the amount that you're investing every month, I can tell you that your life insurance policy of 35 lakh rupees as a cover is falling short as well. Remember, you need to have at least 10 times your annual income as a life cover. On to your investments. Dhirendra, he has a question to start with. He wants to know, does it make sense to have one combined portfolio for all of his goals, or should he be going this way, which is one portfolio for each of his goals? Which one would you recommend?
I would recommend separate portfolio for if the goals are going to be of completely different varying term. So if he has a goal for next 5 years, that portfolio has to be very different from his retirement portfolio.
The other interesting thing that research has shown among investors in India especially is that when you separate your investment for your child's future from your own pension or from money that you're putting aside for a home, you tend not to dip into those pockets of funds. If you know it's set aside for your child, you will not pull that money out. Or if you know it's set aside for your retirement, you will not touch that money until you retire. So that's why it possibly makes sense to have separate portfolios. But if you look at his portfolios, Dhirendra, he has one for his child, which is at a time horizon of 15 years. He has another one for his own retirement at 25 years. 3 crore rupees is his target. And the last one to create a corpus of about 10 lakh rupees in 8 years. Now, when you look at the funds he's picked, are you happy with what he's picked, or would you like to make some changes there?
Take a look at the first goal, which is his child's higher education. And he needs 75 lakh in 15 years' time. And if his investments earn 12% annualized over the next 15 years, and he's trying to achieve it with, a reasonable fixed income allocation, because his 3,000 is going into PPF, his 5,000 going into HDFC Prudence, which is a balanced fund, of which 30% is into fixed income. So from that standpoint, he is achieving his goals very easily with a fairly conservative allocation. Maybe, he's too conservative, but the likelihood of achieving his goals with such an allocation is very high. Likewise, I think, his retirement plan is ultra conservative, in a sense that the money getting into PF and NPS, because NPS, the max fixed the maximum equity allocation can be 50%. So that looks conservative, and that too for a goal which is 30 years away. I think that is where in my opinion, he needs to get a little more aggressive. All right,
you need to get a little more aggressive there on your retirement plan, and it seems like the plan you've made for your child is on track, and you might actually wind up with a surplus as well. Right back to us if you need any more help. Dhirendra is saying you're comfortable with your investments, and the idea of having separate portfolios is a good idea. Dhirendra, we have another question for you. Sachin has written in. He's been investing in the HDFC Top 200 fund. Now, this is interesting because we've got a lot of questions on the same lines about the same fund. His concern is that recently Value Research downgraded its rating to a 4-star fund from a 5-star fund. He wants to know if he should continue to invest in that fund because he bought it with a 15-year horizon, or should he be switching to another 5-star fund? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago as well. The fact that HDFC Top 200 was one of your top choices hasn't had a very good 1 year. So for those investors who are concerned, would you say they should give the fund some time at least?
This is not the time to jump out of HDFC Top 200. It had a rough patch and it has slipped on the rating. And if the fund does not happen to be among the top 10% on that risk adjusted scale, it is no longer, it slipped from that 5-star rating. But that does not necessarily mean that you should sell. The rating downgrade is good to bring it on your alert. If it slips further, it will be about time to take a call. And it will certainly be backed by fairly consistent poor performance over a lingering period. And that is the time. So it is good that, the rating slip is prompting you to think about it, but I don't think it is time to jump out of it.
Avijit has written in, Dhirendra, 37 years old, a plan to build a corpus of 1 crore rupees in 10 years. Now, he's made a few mutual fund investments. He's putting in about 18,000 rupees in these mutual funds every month. He wants to know, are these the funds that will take him to his goal? First on his list, Reliance Vision. What's your call on Reliance Vision? Should he continue investing in this fund?
It's marginally above average, performer, or I would say for a long period it has been an average performer. It's not a great fund to if he plans to do it, because I have seen great inconsistency here of late.
The next on his list, we just talked about this fund, HDFC Top 200. Are you going to recommend he hold on to it?
Yeah, I would say hold on to it, because HDFC, as I said earlier, that this fund had a bad year, and it had a compelling track record and for a very long period. So hold on to this, continue investing.
All right, ICICI Prudential Discovery and ICICI Prudential Dynamic, they're not similar funds, Dhirendra. So should he be investing in both of them?
Both are very different funds. I feel that ICICI Dynamic is a very difficult fund to manage, and it has done exceedingly well, because this fund has to change its complexion with the state of the market. ICICI Pru Discovery is an excellent fund. It's a value-oriented fund, and currently it is mid and small cap focused. And this fund falls freely on the other side of the market and participates very well.
Vijit, both funds that you can hold on to, but remember you need a strong stomach for those market downturns, and you need to regularly look at the performance of these funds. IDFC Small and Mid Cap Equity, Dhirendra, what's your call?
This is again a slightly above average fund, but there is nothing outstanding about it, and it's still trying to make a name for itself. He should get into more mainstream fund, and from that standpoint, Reliance Regular Savings Equity will be a superior choice than Reliance Vision, or here to IDFC Premier Equity, just because that fund is supposed to change its color over time.
All right, Avijit, there you have it. Dhirendra not only telling you which funds you should be holding on to, he named a couple that you can use to replace the ones that you have. Hope you jotted all of that down. Get back in touch with us if you need anything else. Quick question, Dhirendra, before we let you go. Venkat has written in. He has a question on our stable and income growth portfolio. He wants to know why 3-star rated funds are included in the portfolio. Are they better options in that same category?
Sometimes yes, and particularly when we are what I keep telling our viewers and elsewhere, that rating is a good starting point, but not the only thing to drive your fund selection. And particularly in the balanced fund category, I think the top rated fund are more aggressive fund, and that is how they earn their rating. And the balanced fund, which I like, because most investors look at balanced fund as a more stable offering. They want greater stability, and even if they are a compromise on return, that is all right. And that is the deal. That is the expectation of a balanced fund investor. That is why I have, even some of the funds have low ratings, I have preferred them. In some other cases, we have not replaced some of our, the funds which have slipped on the rating purely from a viewpoint of, tax efficiency or an interim underperformance which is dragging their ratings down. So we would ideally like to have to build all our portfolios with 5 and 4-star funds as a starting point, but ratings change, and sometimes we don't change that position in the portfolio for tax efficiency, or we think that it's a short-term underperformance.
Okay, so if you have any questions about those portfolios, make it a point to write to us on that email ID that's at the bottom of your screen. Because starting next week, we're going to revisit each of these portfolios, find out how much money they've made so far, and check if they need to have some changes made in those portfolios.